Hi, I'm another fanfic critic, as if you needed one more of us. Today's fanfiction, unlike the last episode, is actually a fandom that I'm familiar with, if you didn't already catch that by the dumbass little intro that I made. It is a Hunger Games fanfiction. Wow, what a surprise. It was requested to me by one of my subscribers who's been subscribed to me pretty much from day one, Scooby-Cool9. And, of course, I went on hiatus, and then, YouTube was all, fuck you, another fanfic critic, if you're gonna go on hiatus, we're gonna delete all your messages, you dumb bitch. So I guess I learned my lesson. But luckily, in the comments of my last episode, he reminded me of the fanfic that he would like me to review. Which is a fanfic that he wrote along with another author, whom I am assuming is one of his friends. Let's see. The title is NightLock Berries, and it's by, obviously, Scooby-Cool9 and someone called Lucky Cool Hawk 9. Alright, let's go. It's a tragedy and suspense. It's a pretty short fanfiction, so I think you guys will have the attention span for my review at the end without totally getting bored of me just sitting here and reading. I mean, obviously you're listening to the fanfiction, but at the same time, you probably get tired of my voice after a while. So luckily this will be a shorter episode. Alright, NightLock Berries. Katniss took the berries out of the pouch she was keeping them in. If it were up to Katniss Everdeen, the 75th Annual Hunger Games would have no survivors. No survivors. Okay, you don't need to say no survivors twice. See, I talk so fucking much my cigarettes go out. Ah, for God's sake. This would have caused so much trouble within the capital. This was going to start a rebellion like none that had ever been seen before. She looked Peeta in the eyes as she handed him the berries that were going to kill them. Spoiler alert! The duo had, without saying a word, agreed to the fact that if there couldn't be two survivors at the end of this game, then there would be none. Okay, so this is starting right at that scene that we all know. The scene after she kills Cato, everyone else is dead but them, and they don't want to kill each other, so Katniss is just sort of has this plan out of fucking nowhere. It's like, hey, let's eat these berries and we'll both die because, fuck the capital. But I wish there was a little bit more description on what's going on, instead of them just, saying what she's doing. Even though in fanfiction, assumingly, the people who are reading it are familiar with the fandom, that's not to say that we can just sort of be lazy and not show, because this is fan fiction. This is a story. Even though we're familiar with the fandom, doesn't mean that you can sort of cut corners and just tell something and then insert what you want to say. Alright. Katniss couldn't help but remember her father's words about the berries. Not these, Katniss. Never these. They're NightLock. You'll be dead before they reach your stomach. For all of the survivors, Katniss and Peeta were going against the code. It was their act of rebellion, and it was going to be perfect. Katniss watched as she and Peeta placed the berries on their tongues and looked at the cameras. She expected the capital to stop them, but no one else bothered to change their rulings. After a good 5 seconds, Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark swallowed their NightLock berries. In their last moments, Katniss realized that she had made a choice to leave behind Primrose, her mother, Gale, and even the cat she hated. It was something that she regretted. Okay, well then why didn't you think of them in the first fucking place, Katniss? This is the Katniss I know, at least from the films. She's constantly making decisions based on, for the most part, Prim. She seems to have extreme resentment toward her mother for the way she handled their father's death and the way she treated her little sister after it. Plus, Gale's her best friend. So, I don't know. Katniss has always seemed to put the needs of others before her own. So I doubt that her dying thought would be like, oh shit, totally forgot about my best friend and my family. Oh well, I don't know. Okay. It was something that she regretted, like I said. But she knew that they were going to be fine. All of them were survivors and would forgive her. Again, that's not the Katniss that I know. She would be joining her father soon, and it made her kind of happy. And she knew that she would see them again, as she knew that, like her, they would eventually die. Well, no shit. A small part of Katniss knew that this was wrong, but she ignored it and looked up at the sky to hear the fireworks. Fireworks? Thought it was a cannon. As she saw her and Peeta's name lit up in the sky, another victim of the games, they were dead before it touched their stomachs. If they were dead before it touched their stomachs, how would they see their names in the sky and the cannons? Like, it takes a little bit for them to get their little doohickey computer thing to show their pictures and do the whole, the cannon shenanigan. Cannon shenanigan. Okay, that was really lame, and I'm sorry. Oh. Alright. This is the last paragraph, and it's in italics. Survival. It was what made these two survivors and martyrs. You can't be a martyr and be a survivor. A martyr is someone who kills themselves or allows themselves to be killed for a cause. To all who followed them, as they had forever changed the world, many years later their story is still told. It has become part of the legend of the boy and girl who did everything to save their world. Katniss Everdeen and Peeta Mellark had become legends as the world's greatest as they survived on through it all. Alright, so metaphorically they're survivors. Alright, author's note. This was written for Ange and Neo's hostile takeover over theme challenge of survival. Okay, I don't know what that means. Alright, so. This was a decent fanfic, like I said. It should have been longer. There should have been build-up to this moment that we all know. The climax of the Hunger Games. Well, that all aside, I sort of have a differing opinion than this author about what would happen if Katniss and Peeta had died. Well, let's take a look at Katniss's dying thoughts. She seems to think that this made a big, significant impact on the world and all the districts. Katniss, in the first one, until pretty much Mockingjay, she had no fucking clue that she was a part of anything bigger than herself. I think, in my mind, and you might disagree with me, she was just a teenager who, well, didn't get really chosen for the Hunger Games, but you know what I mean, who was just like, basically, fuck you, Capital, because she was pissed off. I mean, Katniss is very much hard-headed, very just, she doesn't think of herself as a martyr. She doesn't think of herself as a leader. She's just a very passionate girl and who loves her family. And the world's pretty simple to her. It's survival, being there for your friends, having honor, but she still has that teenager aspect to her. So, in my head, Katniss wasn't really thinking of a bigger picture at the end of the Hunger Games. She was just saying fuck you to the Capitol. And, I don't know, like I said, I didn't read the novels. So this is coming from someone who's just seen the film, so I could be dead wrong. Also, let's look at the fact that in this fanfic, her and Peeta dying at the end sparks the revolution. Yeah, there was Plutarch's Underground, there was District 13, President Coin, obviously, all going on at the same time, going on for years and years and years, and this is something I do know, even though I didn't read the novels, is that District 13, having the nuclear weapons and all that, President Stowe actually struck a deal with them where they would basically be, like, pretend that each other didn't exist. Not really a sort of a Cold War almost. President Snow wouldn't attack them if they let the whole world believe that they had been obliterated. So there is that going on at the same time. But could the districts have really been united without the Mockingjay, meaning Katniss Everdeen? This would imply that they would have to have found another figurehead for the revolution. Because like it's explained in Mockingjay, and as Plutarch explains it, they explain a lot of interesting aspects about revolution and politics. The fact that propaganda is important. The way you present your ideas, present your goals, what you want to accomplish and everything, needs to be in a specific way to unite people. So they would have needed another figurehead for the revolution, which is another interesting thing. Maybe they could expand upon that, and I don't know. I really cringe and I hate fan fictions that create new characters because it sort of defeats the purpose of fan fiction. But in theory, going along with this, there would have had to be another Mockingjay. But they wouldn't be called the Mockingjay. The whole way the revolution would have happened would be completely different. Because, let's see, yeah, Katniss was all like the girl on fire and everything like that. But would she really be that big of a martyr for the revolution? She did spark it, but if she died at the end of the Hunger Games, sure, she'd be a martyr, but it'd sort of be like, those Facebook posts, like, hashtag remember Katniss, and like, little memes, and like the little frame that you put on your profile picture that's like, hashtag 74th Hunger Games, hashtag remember Katniss, blah, 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 and it sort of would have fizzled out. The fact that she survived was crucial to the revolution. And the fact that she survived the 75th Hunger Games was essential. So I don't think that the revolution would have gone the same. I think it's like the butterfly effect. You change one little thing and it has massive consequences. So, from what I gathered at the end, it's basically sort of stating that Katniss dying, actually eating the NightLock berries, it would have had the same exact outcome as if she didn't, and I don't think that's true. Good grammar, could have been expanded upon more. I was kind of disappointed at the end because they didn't go on with the whole thing. The author's note at the end, it was a request from someone, so maybe they had certain stipulations in their request and wanted something very specific, but thank you so much for the request. One of my OG original gangster subscribers. Thank you so much for the request. Thank you so much for bearing with me through the years. Thank you so much for liking my show. Yeah, that's all I can say after this long-ass Hunger Games rant, which people who don't know about the Hunger Games would probably find boring and would have turned off right when I was done with the fan fiction. But for those of you who stuck around to the end, I'm another fanfic critic signing off.